Greetings, I'm Ron Clement, and this is In the Studio. Our topic is Davis's own American Youth Soccer Organization, Region 218. Soccer was a very big part of my son's life when he was growing up here in Davis. Sky played on one of the first competitive teams. He finished up on the Blue Devil varsity, the league championship team in 1994. But it all began when he was 5 years old in 1982, when he signed up for AYSO. AYSO's volunteer coaches taught my son how to play soccer. He learned good sportsmanship, teamwork, and how to cope appropriately with the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Now it's 20 years later, and I'm looking forward to learning all about what AYSO looks like today in Davis. My guests are Richard Temple, down in the end. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Richard is the extra program coordinator, and we'll be learning more about that as we go on. And in the middle, we have Jen Boschee-Danzer.
Hello.
Jen is the regional commissioner of Davis AYSO, Region 218. Welcome, Jen. Nice
for
having
having
you
me.
here. And immediately on my right is Scott Brayton. Scott Brayton is the coach.
Yes, thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for being here. And Jen, if I may start with you, tell me, how'd you get involved in AYSO?
Yeah, so my youngest daughter signed up for AYSO on under 6 team 10 years ago.
Wow.
And I got a phone call from someone with AYSO saying, we don't have anyone to coach your daughter's team. We're an all-volunteer organization, and if no one steps up to coach, then unfortunately your daughter's not going to be able to play. And I said, oh, well, I can't really help you with that. I don't know enough about soccer to coach a team, so I'm sorry, I don't think I can do that. And the person on the other end of the phone said, oh, don't worry, it's okay. We will teach you everything you need to know. We have excellent coach training. You don't need to have played soccer. You don't need to know anything about soccer. We'll teach you how to do it. So I hemmed and hawed a little bit and then decided, okay, I think I can do this. So I went to the coach training, had just a ball my very first year coaching her in soccer. The little 5-year-old kids running around in under 6, really remind you what pure joy these kids have when they're out on the soccer field.
I have a granddaughter doing that right now.
Perfect.
It's such a joy.
It is. So after the season was over, I thought, well, okay, I did under 6, but she's moving up to under 8, and I don't think I know enough to, move on with her. And they said, I was told, don't worry, we provide you coach training every year so that you can move up with your child. So I continued on. I'll be coaching under 19 this season. And when I first got that very first phone call, I never in a million years thought that I would eventually be sitting in the regional commissioner's seat.
Is the regional commissioner, is that kind of like the chair of the board of directors?
It is,
So you got to
yes.
attend to a lot of the business?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
And how long have you been the commissioner now?
I'm in my 3rd year.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Richard, how'd you get involved in AYSO?
Well, I have 2 sons, and my older son's 22, and I started coaching him when he was 4. I played sports all my life. I didn't play soccer, but I, like Jen was talking about, I got corralled into doing it because I was willing to. I fell in love with the game. I love to coach. I love to be around kids, and it's a lot of fun. So I kept staying ahead of my son's skills. By when he was 4, I could be smart enough to coach a 4-year-old. So every year I got better at doing what I was doing, and I kept getting new licenses. I got my competitive license and coached them all the way into high school at a competitive level, and then I came back around, and now I'm starting with my 4-year-old all over again, and now he's 9, and I've been with AYSO about 6 years. With my older son, I coached a different league in another town, but I fell in love with AYSO. It was a lot different than what I had brought my other son up in as well, in particular at the younger ages, and I thought it was a very good program, and I've watched it grow and develop in the time that I've been here as well. So I keep doing it. I coach my son's baseball teams, both of them, the way into high school, and I'll coach this one as well in baseball. So I pretty much coach all year round, and it keeps me busy, keeps me young.
Well, you mentioned when you were young, you didn't play soccer.
I didn't play soccer. I played
So
baseball, football, basketball, and the whole.
Was there a big learning curve?
It's basketball with your feet. I figured that out quickly. And sports is sports. I mean, you learn how to do it. I started playing it because that helped me learn more than just out of a book. And so I started playing it, but I mean, it's competition, and if you learn the skills as you develop, I mean, anybody can coach soccer if you put your mind to it. I mean, you can do it even if you've never played. And since then, like I said, I've played soccer myself, but I learned to watch and learn a lot. If you can do that, anybody can coach.
Well, I didn't learn about soccer till I was about 35, and like you, I played football and learned football when I was a kid, so you kick the ball straight ahead. So I had to learn how to play soccer kicking from the side, and for the first 2 years, I constantly kicked the ground, and my knees still hurts from doing that.
Yep. First time I played, it was muscle learning, because your body's not used to using those kind of muscles, but you can learn.
And Scott, how'd you get involved in AYSO?
I started back when I was 5, actually. I started playing in AYSO in Southern California. So I was able to, my dad was a coach for my first several years, and I played basically through the middle part of high school, a little bit in college and intramurals. And currently I live in town. I have 3 daughters, and they're very excited about playing soccer, and they started when they were 5, and we've been at it ever since. So we've been out there for about 8 years now. So.
Well, that's wonderful. And Jen, tell us a little bit about the philosophy of AYSO. And I think most of us know it's a little bit different than, say, there's so many different youth recreational or competitive soccer, but what's unique about AYSO?
Well, you know, one of the things I really love about AYSO is our vision statement really sums up what we're about, which is to provide world-class youth soccer programs that enrich children's lives. So we're about soccer and teaching kids how to play soccer and developing their soccer skills, but we really take a whole child approach. And for example, in our coach training, we teach coaches at each level how to coach the kids of that age, but also what their social and emotional development for that stage is. So I love how we really strive to enrich children's lives through the game of soccer. And I always say that you can't underestimate how much you do enrich children's lives, that the impact you can have on these kids' lives. There's nothing better than being at the grocery store and seeing a kid who you coached or refereed come running up to you and, you know, be so excited to see you and say hi. So, you know, that aspect of really looking at the whole child. And then AYSO also has 6 philosophies that, you know, guide everything that we do. You know, one of the most important is that everyone plays. So every child who registers to play in AYSO is guaranteed to play a minimum of half of every game. In Davis, we strive to go a little above and beyond because we are Davis. So
I remember when I was a coach, I think it was 3/4.
Exactly.
So you not only had to know the game, but you also had to be able to do jigsaw puzzle math.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So we do. We strive to have every child play at least 3/4 of the game, which, you know, gives kids a sense of inclusiveness. They're not sitting on the bench riding the pines in AYSO. And that also helps one of our other philosophies, which is player development. Kids get better playing when they get the opportunity to play. And the more touches on the ball they can get, the better they get. Kids don't get better when they're sitting out and not having an opportunity to play. So the everyone plays philosophy that guides us, I think, really makes us different than a lot of other youth sports organizations. We also work to build balanced teams, which actually creates a very competitive environment because we work to make sure that our teams are built so that they're each relatively equal. So you don't have a team that's winning all their games and a team that's losing all their games in the ideal world, but that the games are all very competitive because the teams are fairly evenly matched.
And how many kids are participating a year in Davis at this point?
So last year, between our fall season, our select season, which is a more competitive season, spring season, and then our VIP program, we had a little over 2,000 kids playing throughout the year.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
And Richard, I understand that you're the extra program
Correct.
coordinator, and this is something new to AYSO. What is the extra program?
Well, it's a brand new program for Davis. It's been going on for a few years across the country. AYSO nationally is trying to encourage this type of program. It actually fits into AYSO's mission statement, which is to provide a soccer experience for across the board. Almost anybody can find a spot in AYSO to play soccer. And what this does is it adds in something new that Davis did not have, which is a place for kids who really want a more serious, challenging soccer experience, who want to get some more serious training, want to play longer. They love it so much they want to keep doing that. And this provides now an opportunity for that experience for them. Also following the same principles that Jen talked about at AYSO, which is the same thing, that it's going to help their individual development. One of the problems, and I've coached competitively in other clubs, and when you get into having paid coaches and different programs, it's about winning because that's your job. I mean, your job is to provide winners now. And I think with AYSO's principles of developing over time, you can take someone that maybe isn't yet the superstar as a 9-year-old, but in 4 years he's going to be a pretty good soccer player. And if you give them that opportunity to do that, they can develop and go. So that's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
With the extra program, are there tryouts or is there drafting?
There is. Here's the way the system works, and it's set by national guidelines. Again, they have a lot. They take this stuff very seriously, and they don't just throw it out there and say, okay, go do it. They have a lot of guidelines that you need to follow. But the basic principles are anybody can come register for a tryout. There's a tryout held for whatever age divisions a AYSO club wants to hold. So you have tryouts. There's a system set up to have independent tryouts that are done by someone other than the coach or anybody else to try and avoid any conflict of interest where you can. I mean, it's always hard to avoid everything, but that's what it's designed to do. Then they rate the players, and a group of people will help look at those ratings and help to then divide a team that comes to that, usually one at this point, one per age division. Once that team is then set, they then go out and start playing games, and unlike typical AYSO or even select, they can play across the board. There'll be league matches, there'll be tournaments they can go and not only play other AYSO extra teams, they can play competitive, what are called Class 3 and Class 1 teams and tournaments. And it allows basically the experience to grow as much as a team wants to. If the team wants to go to a lot of tournaments, they can. If they just want to go to a few, they can. But it will give them a new challenge to step up and meet.
Well, generally, how many games would an extra team play?
Well, it's new for Davis, so we're going to wait and see. But
I
I can tell you what, I'm going to be coaching one of the teams, so I can tell you what we're going to try and do. I mean, we'll probably try and go to 8 or 9 tournaments over a span of a year. Then there'll probably be 10 league games in the fall, and hopefully we can get into a spring league where we have another 10. And then we're going to scrimmage a lot. Where we go play teams and just say, let's go play. I mean, there's not anything official about it, but the more they play, the better they get. So that's what we at least envision can be done on a team. But there'll be some that want to not do that much and some that may want to do more. And so each team will help with the board oversight to decide what will be.
And with the travel, you need more parents to step up just for transportation, I would think. And there's probably overnights at away tournaments.
There are, and there's a little bit of that in select as well. And again, each select team is kind of set up on the same principle. Some play more than others because they have, parents and kids who are maybe more motivated than other ones. They want to play more, and so there'll be.
I remember herding 13-year-olds at a motel in Rohnert Park.
Well, they definitely when the older they get, it was my experience with my older son. Is the older they get, the less the parents participate. So you're doing it all.
Yeah.
But when they're younger, all the parents are there. They're very excited about it. I mean, I've coached some of these kids for several years, and they're very excited about playing. It's fun. And part of what I believe is even at the AYSO fall season or even spring season, kids want to do well. It's not just about winning. I don't like to lose. I go out there and try and win every game. I don't go out there and say, well, let's not try.
Losing's overrated.
Well, yeah, that's right.
But it is an important lesson in life.
It really is, and I lose a lot. So when you lose, you help the kids learn a different lesson. But you're trying to win, but you're trying to get them to be successful at whatever level. And so even when I coach at AYSO fall, I'm pushing them to do as best they can at their level. And you can find that out. And so AYSO Extra, the kids will be a little bit more skilled than the select in the fall. And they'll be absorbing faster because they're at that level.
Well, great. Well, I wish you great luck with that new program, and hopefully we'll do another show in about a year and see how that went.
We're going to try and grow.
Now, Scott,
Yeah.
how long have you been a coach?
So I've been coaching now for 8 years.
8 years.
And it's primarily on the girls' side. And they're just the ages of, let's see, was starting at 5U and then working up now. I'll be getting my license here fairly soon for the under 14 team.
She's got to sign off on it.
Exactly. You got to always know that. Yeah, take the classes.
Give her a ball.
Exactly. Hopefully this helps. So yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we've been coaching for about 8 years, and we've done the fall teams. We've just finished a very successful select season actually, where we saw a lot of transformation of girls who were fairly talented in their skill level, but they really came together as a team. And those experiences you talk about, like going to the hotels or being in the supermarket afterward and somebody coming up and saying thank you so much. You really do experience those moments with these girls at impressionable ages. It's really powerful and really special that when they come back in time and talk to you about it, or you get comments from the parents that you really did something well. That's very rewarding.
And why in particular did you choose the coach role? Now, we know Jen became a coach because it was that her daughter wouldn't have a team.
Right.
But similar circumstances?
So
or?
when I started actually just as a parent volunteer. There's plenty of great volunteer opportunities with AYSO. When you show up to the games.
I sliced oranges.
Yes, exactly. Slice the oranges, you got the halftime snack, you have to set up the field, you have to learn how to referee, you have to do a variety of different things. And so with the different coaches that I was a part of, they allowed me to participate in one way or the other. I eventually began refereeing, and I realized a whole new side of the game that I have never experienced.
How much time?
So, in terms of refereeing?
No, in terms of coaching. I mean, what kind of time does it take to do that?
Coaching-wise, if you're talking about a normal, regular fall season, you're talking about 2 hour or hour and a half practices.
No, wait, are you a coach or a referee?
So I'm a coach now.
But you were a referee.
But I was a referee. So, but I respect both. You have to respect both positions when you're out there coaching.
As a former coach, it can be hard with the referees.
Very tough. Sometimes I bring out my yellow jersey just to let them know that I'm on their side. But yes, it takes some time. But you definitely learn the game from a completely different perspective. Referees will see things that coaches never will.
Well, in my time, the chief referee was Bruce Wolk.
Okay.
The father of our
Yes.
mayor pro tem and assembly candidate, Dan Wolk, whom I also coached. And, had I known where all that would turn out, I would have been nicer in those days. So.
Always be nice to the referees. They are definitely in charge.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's a tough job.
It is. But as you know, when you get into coaching, you still need plenty of support from the parents to help set up, help officiate, make sure that for being a father of daughters, there always has to be a female at practices at all times. It's an AYSO mandate. So you have plenty of parent volunteer going on at every practice and game as well. So very special. You spend possibly at game days, if you're leaving on a Friday for a weekend, you're gone Friday, Saturday, coming back late Sunday afternoon, hopefully after a championship game. And you just live those stories on Monday with the people and start in on practice again afterward.
Do you find there's a lot of out-of-pocket expenses, part of your contribution?
They are, but I wouldn't necessarily say that they're completely outrageous. For us, we look at it with 3 daughters. We are on family vacations 2 or 3 times a year or a month where we're going to these trips. And we're not going to exotic locations like Hawaii and Europe, but a family adventure in Carson City can be absolutely amazing if you do it with the right families from Davis.
So close to Virginia City.
Exactly.
Little history.
Exactly.
Okay. And Jen, I understand one of the newest programs is the VIP program. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, so our VIP program is designed for children who are alter-abled, who are for physical or emotional or mental reasons not able to participate on a mainstream soccer team. And our VIP program gives opportunities for those kids to get out on the pitch and play soccer.
That's wonderful. How many kids participate?
We have about 40 kids that participate between the VIP players and the buddies. So how the program works is that we have the VIP players, but then we also have mainstream players who get trained to become buddies, who are with them on the field and help them. So the game is modified a little bit for them to be able to, have success, and their buddies are there to help them along with that.
And how many years now with the VIP program, or is it just new this year?
No, we've been doing it for several years now. I think 4 or 5 years. It's a large program with AYSO nationally, and Davis, as we like to do everything better than everyone else in Davis. Of course, we instituted the VIP program so that we could really reach as many kids who want to play soccer as possible, and make sure that this game is accessible for kids who may not have other opportunities to get involved in sports.
Do other Yolo County communities have AYSO programs?
Yes. In Yolo County, we have an AYSO region in Winters, and one in Capay, and let's see, those are the 3 in Yolo County. We're part of what's called Area 2D here with our region in Davis. So we have Winters and Capay and us, Rio Linda outside of Sacramento, and Antelope. And then we have a brand new region in Colusa County that has come on board.
Speaking of Davis, are there differences when you compare us to Winters or Capay, or are we bigger, smaller? We have different programs?
We are the biggest region in our area.
Hear that? Davis is number 1. Very good.
Absolutely. I think we have the best coaches, referees, and players in Davis.
I hope so. You guys have to vote for commissioner?
Get another vote.
You're up for that next level,
exactly,
right? Okay.
Yes. One of the things that when we have teams that travel to some of those other regions in our area to play games, what our players and their families tend to notice most in terms of differences is the quality of our fields in Davis. And that is really a testament to the community as a whole. The city does a phenomenal job of maintaining our parks and soccer fields, and the community, supports our parks and recreation very well. But the partnership we have with the city is very important. We have a really good relationship with them as, really the largest user of parks and fields in Davis. At AYSO, we feel a strong need to be good stewards of our community resources. And so we do work as an organization to help take good care of the fields and give back to the community in that way. But when we go to other regions, we don't see the same high quality of fields that we do here. Sometimes you're playing a game and there's a gopher popping up in the middle of the field as you're trying to dribble the ball around them. But I think it gives us a good appreciation for really how fortunate we are here in Davis to have such phenomenal facilities, and the volunteer base we have. A lot of regions struggle enormously with having enough volunteers to put on all of the programs that they would like to put on. We're the only program in our area that offers a VIP program, for example. And we do get just wonderful community support. We have lots of people who don't have kids playing who volunteer for AYSO.
Oh, that's
Either their
wonderful to
kids
hear.
have aged out and they come back and still continue to referee or coach, or people who just want to be involved and maybe played soccer as a youth themselves and want to be involved and are not at the stage yet where they have their own kids but want to get out and coach and referee.
Well, Richard, are there enough volunteers involved, whether they're parents or community folks?
I can tell you, I've been so impressed by the amount of people that are involved. Again, I've coached in other areas, and you end up you asked a question about the costs and whatnot, and in my experience in other areas, you're carrying a lot of stuff that is now being done by somebody else here, and it allows me as a coach to spend time coaching. I got all the parents on my team that all participate and do things. These faceless people are running around doing other things that I never even get to see or think, that allow me just to concentrate on teaching the kids. And so it is incredibly different from my own personal experience, but also than what I see now in other AYSO clubs even. So there's a lot of people that make this thing work and be successful the way it is.
That's very good. So Scott, as a coach, and Do you have to coordinate the volunteers? I mean, Richard mentioned all this stuff's going on, and he can focus on coaching.
Yeah.
Have you found you have to coordinate volunteers, or
when
does someone else do that?
Well, when you start your season, you normally have a meeting with all the parents, and by the time you're in your third or fourth year of soccer, the parents come to you and say, "This is how I would like to volunteer." And they'll tell you the items on the list before you even present it to them. The amazing parents here at Davis. And so they'll coordinate themselves for the most part. And just like Richard said, you can concentrate on coaching and teaching. With that regard, though, there's always opportunities for more volunteers from the community. We have opportunities on different boards throughout the AYSO committees. And so if people would like to be involved, there's definitely an opportunity for them.
So a parent or a community member doesn't have to have a lot of skill coming in, that they're going to be mentors, and probably there are forms and booklets and whatnot to help?
There are plenty of training manuals. AYSO has been going on for plenty of years, obviously several generations now. Many people started without having any experience whatsoever, and look what can happen if all of a sudden you start without any experience, and you can all of a sudden become a regional commissioner. Yes, it's all possible, and there'll be opportunities for volunteering as much or as little as you would like to actually participate. So that's
Jen,
the best part.
if you could say one thing to encourage more folks to volunteer, what would it be?
Well, that as much as AYSO is about the kids, and I do really believe that it is about the kids, it's about the adults too. We all, I think, volunteer because we love doing it for the kids, but we also have a heck of a lot of fun doing it. Some of my closest friends I have met on the sideline at AYSO games, and for many of us it becomes a real family event. And if you're not having fun doing it, then talk to me, because we'll figure out how to make it fun, because it should definitely be fun for the adults as well.
Oh, wonderful. That's about all the time we have. Jen, Richard, Scott, I want to thank you guys for being on the show. I wish you and AYSO the best of luck. What a wonderful program. And
Thank you.
It's so heartwarming to me after all these years to hear that things are going so well, but of course the challenges remain. Some of my best memories as a father came from volunteering with AYSO. When I started, I'd never played soccer and knew next to nothing about the game, yet I eventually became a coach through a lot of good folks just like these teaching me how to do it. During this show, we learned that AYSO depends entirely on the participation of volunteers in order for everything to work well. If you don't volunteer, AYSO can't function and our kids lose. If you are a parent whose kids are enrolled in AYSO, or you're thinking about enrolling your kids, please note that you do need to volunteer. You'll have a great time, I guarantee it. Until next time, this is Ron Clement. Thank you for watching in the studio.